Hello, everyone. This is part two, Finding Images in Magazines and Publications. I am going to show you what I am looking for, and I'm going to start helping you train your eye to spot things that are there that you may not be seeing. All right, number one, I want to, I want to say this is going to take time. This is going to take a lot of time. You're not going to find a pile of images in a day. It's just not going to happen. And it's also going to take a lot of publications. I've got a bunch of them here that I am going to show you and just show you why it's so hard to get a lot of images very quickly. All right, so it's just gonna take time. It's just going to take some time. Um, Number one is you want all kinds of different magazines. That's if you want all kinds of different images like I have, you need everything. You need travel brochures and travel magazines. You need catalogs. You need magazines. You need fashion magazines. You need women's magazines. You need National Geographic. You need all kinds of stuff. All right? The more varied in magazine that you have, the more varied and interesting your images are going to be. If you have just like uh, women's fashion magazines, you're not going to find a lot of animals or different kinds of things. So you need a lot of publications, and you can look for those in libraries. Many times sell their old magazines, thrift shops, flea markets. Ask your dentist, your doctor, any place that has a waiting room what they do with their old magazines. They may let you take some of them. Tell your friends and family that you're looking for magazines. You don't care what kind of magazines. I have gotten some very interesting images out of psychology magazines, science magazines. Whatever they have, you will probably find a few interesting images in there. So just tell them to save stuff for you. You're going to need a lot of magazines. My number one thing, my number one piece of advice for everyone is make a list of what you are looking for. Determine your priority and look for those things first. And then go through the magazine again and look for some other things on your list. All right? So, just so you have an idea of things that are on my list, things that I am looking for, I do a lot of glue books, so I look for a lot of glue book images, small-ish, because I don't like my glue books very large. And glue book images to me are square, interesting images. They're square, rectangle. They're not fussy cut images. They are things that I put on a page to cover the entire page. All right, so they are completely different. They mostly have straight edges. Mostly have straight edges, but they're really interesting little images. So I'm always looking for glue book images. I'm always doing glue books. All right. I am also always looking for objects, things that I can fussy cut, and I will get more into that when I am going through the magazines. Right now, fussy cut images are my priority. I am looking for things that I can use in a couple of books that I am working in. It is something that I'm having a lot of fun with right now, and it is the first thing that I will look for in things. All right, I am looking for faces. I'm looking for figures and heads. And what do I mean by that? A lot of figures. I really enjoy, getting a figure and then finding some strange something to replace the head with. It's just a weird thing that I like to do, and I have been doing just a little bit of that lately. It doesn't have to be an animal or a person's head, it could be an object, it could be just about anything, it could be an illustration, it could be, you know. So I'm always looking for things that might replace a head. And it could be anything. You have to keep your imagination open, and you have to think about, could that be used as a head? And I will show more about that. All right. So I'm looking for words, phrases, interesting letters. I do a lot of like ransom note words on pages. Not a lot, not as much as I should. But I do, if there are letters, I will keep those. Backgrounds. I like um, background pieces that are out of focus in backgrounds of my collages. Things that really don't have a focal point but are interesting in the background. Most of the time they're out of focus. I am looking for that kind of thing, so it's on my list. I am looking for color and texture. Now, I got a question about this, and I don't use color enough in my collages. I'm hoping to do more about that, but I like color a lot. So I definitely I save bits of color that's interesting to me, and I will put them together in collages like this. This is my color glue book, and that's all this is a collection of color schemes, color combinations I've put together just to look at the colors. I making looking at color makes me happy. So I wanted a book so I can just look at the colors. There's texture in here too. Texture makes a page interesting. So, things that look like they are rough or look like they're smooth or look interesting together. The combination, the contrast of them, it makes it more interesting. So I'm looking for things that look like they feel like something other than a smooth magazine page, basically. Um, so I do collect bits of color that catch my eye, and I will put them in backgrounds. Sometimes I need a certain color to go on underneath a fussy cut image to make that fussy cut image pop. And so I have bits of color separated in page protectors so that if I'm looking for red, I can find things that I have that are red. So I am looking for color and texture. Um, and I do scavenger hunt books. So I am sometimes looking for specific things like elephants, your favorite things. You may want to look for your favorite things. Elephants, watch faces. I really like watch faces, so I collect all of those. Make a list of things that you're looking for, and take a look at your projects that you are working on, that you plan on working on. Really look at that and decide what your priority is when you're looking for images. Um, Okay, so my priority is fussy cut images, and if you're watching this, it's probably yours too. So I'm going to be going through these books, a few of these books, um, with that in mind. My priority is to find objects to fussy cut. All right, let's go through the National Geographics. Now, I used to really love National Geographics, and lately their articles have they've changed a bit, which is fine. I do believe that people need to be aware of, climate climate changes and, all that stuff. And National Geographic is one of those perfect places to do exactly that, where they've got these beautiful photographs where people will actually look at them and take note of things that need to be changed in the world. I am not I'm not saying anything bad about National Geographic. I really like them. I think that they're wonderful. They're fabulous. We need National Geographic. I'm just saying that I have a hard time finding images in there now because they are focused on other things. So let's just flip through some National Geographic and take a look. Okay? So my priority is to find objects to fussy cut. I want things to go in my street art book, basically. And here is a frog. Here is a frog. All right. Now, I will take this frog. I love the frog. He's in a really interesting position. Um, I could choose to cut off his back leg because that, you know, him being on white is, he's going to be hard to fussy cut. All right. Number one, he doesn't have anything in front of him, so he is a entire object. One of those things that I am looking for is I am looking for an entire object, an entire animal, something that I can use and I don't have to worry about. He's on white, so I can kind of fussy cut around him and leave a little bit of that white border, and he would go on something white and that would disappear. So this is a really good image to save. It's got a lot of good points. It's on white. It would be really hard to do a detailed fussy cut, but since he's on white, he can go on a lot of different things. And he doesn't have anything on top of him. He doesn't have words cutting him off anywhere. He would be perfect. Talking about objects with words over, this zebra is fabulous. He's wonderful, except I don't have any of his legs. My priority when I'm looking for things like this are heads and faces. If their head and face and most of their body is perfect, you can figure out a way to disguise the fact that he doesn't have any legs. You can put some words over that. You can have him stepping out of the bottom of the page. There are many things that you can do. He doesn't have a rear end either, so he would have to be put, underneath something else or at the edge of the page or something like that. But on the whole, he could be cut out and he would be a good image to use. And here's a hot air balloon too. It's not an entire image, but it could be used. You could disguise the fact that it's not entire. You could put other balloons on top of it so it looks like it's in a group of balloons. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could put it in party balloons and disguise that it's not entire. So that's what I'm looking for. I am looking for animals, objects. Here's a monkey. He's got a leaf in front of him. Now I could choose, he's got a couple leaves in front of him. I could choose to cut him out with this branch and include those leaves. He wouldn't look strange at all. He wouldn't look strange at all. All right? So I could cut him all the way around and he would be good. All right. So let's continue looking. Here is a great lightning picture. This would be a good glue book picture. That's on my list. That's number 2 on my list. So when I find something like this, I always look on the other side. If I start cutting that out, never fails, there was something on the other side that I would have liked a lot better. So before I do any cutting, I like to look at both sides. When I find something that might work, I am going through magazines. I tear out the entire page. I don't cut things out of the page. I tear out the entire page. And that way when I am doing the actual fussy cutting or separating, organizing the images into glue book images or fussy cut images, I put faces together. I put figures together, heads together. I switch out. I organize my words so that my words are all together. Um, Most of the time, when I am organizing fussy cut images, though, I do put all my fussy cut images in one place. And when I am looking for fussy cut images, I get more random this way. I don't have to, okay, I want a fish on this page. Um, I go to the fish envelope or whatever, wherever I've got them separated. The drawback for this is if I am looking for a fish, I have to go through all these images to find all the fish. I mean, you have to choose what is best for organizing for yourself. I like to put everything together. Things kind of um, they come together, and you can see sometimes an interesting combination where you wouldn't have thought about, well, I want to put a fish here. Maybe something else would appear, and you'll get, a tennis shoe instead, and it's a lot more fun. So just keep that in mind. So I tear out the entire page and put it in a pile to look at later, to fussy cut, to organize, and to whatever. So I've got baskets when I'm going through my pile. Okay, this is a fussy cut image. Let me put it in my fussy cut pile. This is a glue book. This is whatever. You organize the way you work. You might want to organize for your projects or, whatever works for you. All right? But I always tear the entire magazine page out first and then organize stuff. And I always have a pile of pages that I want to fussy cut, so then I can sit in front of the TV whenever I have some time and just fussy cut images instead of looking for and then fussy cut looking for. It saves time if you do all the fussy cutting at one time. So that's all we're doing right now, is we are looking for stuff. Here is a fabulous dog, and this could be a head or an image. I always look at advertisements. Advertisements are the best place to find interesting images. They're trying to sell you something. They're trying to get your attention. Their images are going to be bright, cheerful. They're going to be really good. So there's two little wolf heads on the bags of this dog food. They can be used. They are small, but they are perfect little heads. So there are three things here. All right, so I would rip out that entire page. Here is an interesting figure. I could use him, just as he is in a collage, or I could replace his head with something else. Lots of possibilities. I like the fact that he's got a great pose. He's got a great pose. You could do a lot with him. All right, here is. I guess it's a dragon. I guess it's a dragon. There are words over him. I would probably save him, and when I go to use him, then figure out how I could put something on his back to cover up the words. But most of him is out there where you could use him. Here is one of those glue book pages or a background. This would be cool with, a zebra on top. The colors are wonderful. Look at all that texture. The color. I could put purple things on there and it would be really neat. Here's a lady in. And this has got edges. This has got a defined bit. I could fussy cut that out in a certain way. It is on 2 pages, so it would be, a little hard. But I could put that on a page. Watch faces. I love watch faces. I collect those. So take a look at the entire page. My thing is, I'm looking for objects to fussy cut. So my list is way too long. I'm looking for glue book pages, fussy cut images, faces, figures, heads, words, backgrounds, color, texture. I'm looking for elephants. I'm looking for frames for my scavenger hunt book. Those things are on my list. My priority is fussy cut images. So what I would do is I would kind of go through this semi-slowly and look for things that I would want to fussy cut. These little fish would be one of those. These elephants, look how cute those are. Yes, even though, they are cut off, if you position them on the page in the corner just like it is here, it wouldn't look weird. You can cut off the heads and it would be fine. It would look perfectly good. So here's another image. All right, here's one of those that you may not even have considered. It's an advertisement. Stop at every advertisement. I swear. Stop at every advertisement. Look at this spoon. Spoonful of cereal. It has defined edges that you could cut out. There's nothing over it. A spoonful of cereal would be funny to go, say, if you've got, a zebra facing the other way as if it were going to be eating the cereal. On the other side, imagine the zebra, on the other side eating the cereal. Or a, a giraffe head coming out of the cereal. Or, the possibilities for something like this are endless. Look at advertising. This is perfect. I am going to cut this out and see if I can use it in my street art sketchbook. Here's a map. Sometimes I like maps. The color is okay. Here's a figure. When I'm looking for figures, I am looking for hands, arms, and feet that aren't too difficult to cut out. This might be a little difficult to cut out. It's so tiny and fussy, but her other hand is on her hip. I wouldn't have to worry about her fingers. Fingers, hands, and feet are really a hard thing to fussy cut out. So I'm always looking for figures like this. All right, so speeding it up just a little bit. Let's see if I can get it so there's not a shine on there. All right, there's an advertisement. Glass might work for something. Here's some fish down here. I'm looking for fussy cut images. And yes, I would be taking my time if I was alone, looking at stuff specifically. If there's an image that's really cool, it's not necessarily my priority image, but this one is really kind of nice. I like the camels. There's some camels here. You can see them. I like the camel silhouettes. And I would probably, there's nothing on the other side, I would probably cut that out because I like that more than anything else. You have to choose. If there's things on both sides, you've got to choose which one you're going to use. Here is a wonderful hand. This is perfect. This is like the great image probably in the entire magazine. There's probably only this image in here. This is perfect. He's got a bit of a shoulder and a bit of his body here that you could see. So I would cut that all out so that his body is there and put it on the page exactly where it is here. And then you can see that it's not just a hand, that it is actually attached to something. That is perfect. It's perfect for the images that I'm looking for. So I would go through, looking for fussy cut images and background images. And as soon as I find something that's really special, really something that I want, I tear out the entire page and put it in my pile. I go through my pile the next day or at the end, whenever. So, so let's go through some of the other magazines and not make this forever and ever a very long video. All right. So, fashion magazines are good, not for so much images, but for figures. And again, I am looking for hands that would be not hard to cut out, so this figure would work perfectly. I don't have to worry about her hands sticking out and worrying about cutting off anything. Faces, I love eyes and faces in general. I do the face collages, so I'm always looking for interesting um, face faces that would be cool mixed and matched together. So I would use that face. Um, you don't find a lot of objects in a fashion magazine. Most of what I find here are figures, sometimes heads, faces. I do find a lot of watches. You can find shoes, purses. There are backgrounds in here. I like out of focus trees and landscapes, out of focus buildings with windows and stuff. I like to find shoes, boots are fun to use a lot of times. Here's a witch. She's holding an apple, so she's kind of cool. She could be fussy cut. Here's a little ladybug that could be used with something. He's on green. So you just have to, look. Sometimes you do find images that are cool, but usually not in a fashion magazine. Jewelry, a lot of people like jewelry. I don't usually go for that, but so many people use jewelry. And here are bits of color and textures that I really like. So this is really cool for a color texture kind of thing to use in backgrounds. Figure is pretty cool. Here's a statue, and this is an advertisement, so I think I've got this statue. It is an advertisement for this company. And so they are usually in a lot of different magazines, so you could get more than one of these images if you've got more than one fashion magazine. I think I've found a few of them. Here's another figure. Her hand is on her hip. This hand would be kind of easy to try to fussy cut, but you don't find a whole lot of interesting images in these kinds of magazines. You can find hats, purses, bags. Here's another interesting background here. Oh, here's an interesting one. I really like these hands with a cup. They would be pretty easy. I'm always looking at the detail of their hands and, is there any little skinny parts? Is there any hard corners that might be difficult? It is covered, her hand is covered up just a little bit here, but you can cut that so it doesn't look too odd. But I would cut out both of her hands holding this cup, like right along there, and that would be an interesting image to use somewhere. So that would probably be my one great image from this magazine. Oh, here's a ship. Here's a ship. Of course, it is an advertisement. It's the Queen Elizabeth. There's a lot of straight and hard edges here. This wouldn't be that difficult to cut out, and it would be fun in a collage. In fact, I've got one cut out ready to be put in my new book. Do look at advertising. Words. See, I was looking for images, and I forgot that I was looking for words. This magazine, fashion magazines, are good for words and phrases and that kind of thing too. All right, so here's another head. It's a ring, the Taurus ring. There's an interesting figure. So I don't find a lot in the fashion magazines. Not a lot. Catalogs are really, really good. Again, they're trying to sell you something. So they have got very clear, very bright pictures of stuff. Now, of course, I can't find anything. Here's a little stuffed elephant and a window. I am doing a scavenger hunt category of windows, so I am looking for windows. That's on my list. Sometimes you can find furniture, windows. Here's a nice chair, a framed image. I'm looking for frames as well. Not a lot in this one. Let's go to this catalog. This one, here's a chair, except it's on two different pages, so it would be really difficult to use. More chairs. I like catalogs that are selling gifts. I have one that's called Signals that I absolutely love. It's got a lot of interesting things in it. It's for gifts for people that have everything, so it's unusual stuff. There's a bunch of framed things. I'm looking for pictures with frames for my scavenger hunt. So I would use a lot of those things for mine. And of course, I would be going much, much slower and really taking a look at everything on the page. You could go so slow and then look at your list of things that you're looking for and really, really take a look. Now, if I was to slow down and really look at this, this piece of furniture is interesting enough, and there's nothing overlapping it, so that I could cut that piece of furniture out. It could go into a collage. The textures here are really good. There's flowers. There's, little bits of things all over the place to really take a look at. Windows. There's a horse here. So take your time when doing things. Here's a window. Here's a chair that would be cool. Take your time. The slower you go, the more you're going to find. I like dishes. I like cups. So those kinds of things are things that I'm looking for. A bed would be cool. I thought that there was more stuff in here, but there's not. Toy catalogs are really good. Here's a pair of boots that are, it's kind of interesting. All right, so look at catalogs. I like, this is a wig catalog, but it's got a lot of great faces in it with hair and all kinds of stuff. So I like that one. The travel publications. Again, they're trying to get you to come visit, whatever it is. Museums have a lot of great stuff. They're trying to make it look really good. She would be fun in a collage. She could be kind of fussy cut out. Her hands out there, it might be a little difficult, but she would be cool. She would be really, really cool. So what else can we find? Here's a guy on a surfboard. There's a bunch of people on surfboards. That would be really cool. I'm looking for objects, people, animals that are full objects that don't have something overlapping them, so when I cut them out they don't have um, some weird something on top of them. So I'm always looking for, in advertising, here's some great letters right there. Always looking at advertising. I do little inchies and little tiny books, so I always look at the logos, and this little cat is really cute. My autofocus is off, so my camera doesn't jump, but it's a really cool little cat head there. And that would be great in a little miniature collage. So let's see what else we can find. So I'm turning pages and there's not a lot. Maybe the cactus might work. There's not a lot, and that's why I say this is going to take time. You're not going to be able to find a pile of stuff really, really fast. There's no one magazine that is going to do that for you. Here's a boat. It's interesting. And I don't think I even found 5 cool images in here. That's why I like them free, guys. Up, up. Here's some people sitting in chairs that would be easy to fussy cut out. Relax is a great word. It's just a matter of taking your time and finding things. Here's a figure that I might want to use, but I would have to put him on the bottom of the page or coming out of something because he's not a full figure. But he would work in something. So do take a look at publications like this. And look at the little pictures. I mean, if you're looking for larger images, it's easier, it's faster. But you do want little details in your collages. Here's a great statue. And this little girl looking up at the statue is priceless. You know, so just take a look at everything on the page. Could you use this bridge in something that might be interesting? It wouldn't be that hard to fussy cut out. That could be used. Here's a piano. You might want just the keys to put on something, or you may want this whole piano. Here's some heads, some faces that would be great on some figures. Oh, that's a cool image. That's a really cool image. That could be a good glue book image, or just using that face. That is a really cool image. Here's a turtle. I'm always looking for, oh, see, here's a pastry. Here's a pastry that wouldn't be too difficult to cut out. You could have, a lady coming out of the pastry, a little miniature person or something, or an animal, giraffe head or something. If you're looking for glue book pages that are rectangle or square, there's plenty of those in these kinds of magazines. But my priority is looking for objects, and I'm going too fast because I don't want to be doing this forever. But you'll notice there's not a ton. Here's a cannon. Ooh, here's the boy with the binoculars that I've been trying to find a place for in my book. He's cut off here, and I'm thinking about turning him upside down so he's looking down into the page. He was really easy to fussy cut out. If I'd been going too fast, I wouldn't have seen him. So take your time. go through the pages and really look at the details of everything. And, maybe it's going to be too small for what your project is. So you probably can train your eye to look for something a little bit larger. That would be cool. There's just a spoon and this bowl. I think it's a bowl. I don't know exactly what that is, but that would be fun to use in something. It might be the perfect something to use. Now this one didn't have a great image in it. Here's a jumping person. That's interesting. So here's a women's magazine, and I like these mainly because they've got some interesting articles. And when they've got an interesting article, usually they pick an interesting image to go with the article. And it may be something completely random, completely... Let's see, here's some shoes that would be good. Here's a microwave oven, air fryer oven. Look at the air fryer oven. It's got a chicken inside of it. Can you see the chicken? All right. This image is pretty easy. It looks pretty easy to fussy cut out. It doesn't have anything in front of it, overlapping it. So I have the whole object to cut out. This would be fun as a head on a figure. Can you imagine? It would be fun to make that the head. Alright, so I'm going and trying to find an image. Oh, look at that dog. And that's an advertisement. The dog is spectacular. Alright, here's a weigh yourself. A scale. Gee whiz, can't come up with the word. Alright, it is almost a full object, but it does have this word right in front of it. I would probably still use it as an object, and when I'm using it, try to figure out how to put something over it so that you don't see that. Alright. There's a great face. Let's find, oh, here's a plate of food. Those are sometimes nice to use. Oh, look at this dog. It's only half a face, but he is really kind of nice. I haven't seen this one before. This would be fun to use just as it is, or put another half of a human face on the other side. Possibilities are endless. He does have something kind of in front of him so that you could put something to disguise that, to make a real collage. Here's another puppy chewing on his puppy. Let's see, what else can we find? Some little Piggy Banks. Let's go. Oh, look at the penguin. That penguin right there is perfect. Here's a cup. Nothing in front of it. It would be easy to fussy cut out. This wreath, it would be a little difficult, but there's nothing in front of it. It might take a long time, or you could leave a little bit of the white border around it. It wouldn't be too hard to find something to put on it, but that would be cool to use. I like the Geico lizard guy. I like him a lot. And I like the one with his hand up here like this, because he's easy to fussy cut out, and he goes with everything. He goes in everything. Another dog. Let's get to... See, I didn't look at these magazines ahead of time. I am looking for... Here's the article. Inspire. So here's this girl with ice skates. That is a cool image. It's different. It's unique. Is there another article in here? Let's see. Oh, here's a roller coaster. Advertising Legoland. That roller coaster would be fun to do something with. Food plates. Sometimes that makes me hungry and I don't especially like using them. I guess that was the only article. Here's another interesting image. This one was also out of a women's magazine. This is Red Book. Um, it was an article about making any day more vibrant. I just love that. I think that is really cool. Of course, I would have to cut it off because I don't want the words in it, but I'm still left with a really cool image. These are unique. You don't see these a lot. And this is where I get most of my unique images. These kinds of one of a kind articles in these kind of magazines. The illustrations for those are really good. Here's Wired. It's not a great image finder. There's not a whole lot in here. There's a guy again. Here's a little face. Oh, here's some guy sleeping in a flower. And that would be really easy to fussy cut out. I will have to use that in my book. That's unique. I hadn't seen that one before. That is really unique. Very easy to cut out. She's kind of cool. She wouldn't be too difficult to cut out either. She's nice and bold. I like the bold images. What else could I find in here? Here's some hands. Oh, here's a little guy, like he's conducting these people. I don't know if I really love that image. There's words over her hat. I may cut it out and see if I can use it. A coffee pot. Color, texture. These kinds of magazines like Wired, sometimes they don't have anything in them that you can use, and sometimes they have quite a bit. This is a rare one. I usually don't find this much stuff in Wired, but look at this little guy. How cool is he? Here's some little tiny bits. Popcorn, stormtrooper head, the ruby slippers, a tomato, thumbs up, a TV, Ghostbusters, tiny ticket, 3D glasses. Those are all things that I can put in a small book or small collage. And then there are many pages of, well, a cloud with a flag in it, you know. It's interesting. It's different. I'm always looking for something different. That's kind of cool. That would be easy to cut out too. That would be a nice object for something to stand on. That would be really good. And I'll have to use that too. So these kinds of things, you know, I just tear out the whole page and start making piles of these kinds of things. So there's quite a few images in this one. Well, that's kind of a cool image too. See, usually Wired, I can find maybe 3 things in there that I can use. This one is an especially good one. Who knows why? That's a fabulous image. I'm not sure exactly what Wired is. I'm not sure. Oh, it says it's a guide to rebooting politics. it comes to me. I didn't pay for that, so that's why I've got it. All right. And here's a Better Homes and Gardens. Up flowers would be really easy. Cars are really easy to cut out. Oh, this Geico guy I haven't done anything with because I don't think I can cut out his hands, and he would look funny just handless. Little piggy banks are really cute. I do like these women magazines. Um, they're fairly inexpensive if you buy them off the stand, and usually they've got a bit in them. If you go to a bookstore, go to someplace that sells magazines, you can usually look inside. Give yourself, a number. It has to have 10 good images inside before I'll buy it. And take a look at it. And if you don't find your 10, don't get the magazine. Sorry, guys, I started coughing. I didn't want to cough in your ear. Um, and I do that quite a bit. If I am on the lookout for something, and I allow myself to look at the magazines in the stand, which I usually don't because I've got enough coming to me, being mailed to me. I don't need any more magazines. Um, I will say, okay, if it's, I'll look at this one. If it's got 25 images in there that I can use, I will get it. If not, it goes back on the stand. The bear is really cute. Look at the little smiles. But if and I go through it pretty quickly to count the images. Here he is again. And if I don't, oh, this is kind of cute. If I don't see 25 images, then I don't get it. Sometimes I will come across an image that is just, so cool. And if that's the case, and if I can't live without it, then it comes home with me. But, that's very, very, very rare. Very rare. Here's a wine champagne cork, I guess. So, and then you've got your specialty magazines. Odyssey is one that I got at my library. This one is from 2004. Um, Odyssey I find every once in a while at my library, and it has all kinds of cool. I've already been through this magazine, so there's some stuff already missing, but statues and buildings, that kind of thing, are in here, and those would be really easy to fussy cut out. So if you like the specialty magazines, if you really like statues, which I am one of those people that really like statues, something like that might be a subscription that you might want to get. Birds and Blooms, if you like birds or flowers, this one is especially good. For I like birds. I'm not a big flower person, but lots and lots of birds, quite a few butterflies as well. There's another bald eagle. Look at all those birds. Um, so if you're looking for something specific, you can find usually a magazine that you can find whatever you're looking for, cars or whatever. And these are especially easy to cut out. They're so big. Look how cool those are. I might have to look at some of these for my latest project. Um, oh, see how perfect he is? He is really special. So, take a look at all the different kinds of magazines. And, we were flipping through, we didn't see a ton of images. So keep in mind, it's going to take a lot of publications to get a lot of images. I don't suggest saving images until you have a ton. Get a small amount of images out and start using them. You'll get to where I am and you're overwhelmed with all the choices and you don't get anything done because you're looking through all the images that you have. Um, I don't recommend it. I just don't recommend it. Once you have a handful, you have enough, start gluing, start having fun with them, and then look for more. There's always going to be more. There's always going to be something new and interesting that's going to come up. You're not going to run out of images. And one more thing that I want to say about finding images, when you get started, when you get going, if it's an image that you really don't like, don't don't save it for yourself. You might save it for somebody else. You might want to trade images with somebody. I'm not a dog person, but I save those dog images, for other people. I don't use a lot of them. I use a couple. I don't use a lot of them. I come across a lot of dog images. So I save them for somebody else, and maybe I can trade for some cats. Somebody who's not a cat person who comes across a lot of cats, doesn't want to throw them away. Um, don't use images that you don't like in your projects. You're not going to like your finished project because you don't like the images that you're putting in there. That doesn't mean you can't save them because somebody else probably will really like those images, like I said. So I hope this helps train your eye a little bit. Just as a recap, finding images takes a lot of time. It takes many, many, many publications. Try many different kinds of publications, catalogs, travel brochures, magazines, whatever you can find that's printed. Junk mail. Look at your junk mail. All right? Determine your priority. Make yourself a list, what you're looking for, and go through your publication slowly. Don't do it like I just did. Go through it and really take a look at what's there. I didn't notice this hand before. This hand would be kind of cool. It looks like it would be easy to fussy cut out. It looks like it's reaching for something. It would be fun in a collage. I didn't see that the first time. I was too busy getting to the next something. Take a look at things in the backgrounds of advertising, of pages. Take a look. Take your time. Save the entire page and look on both sides before you start cutting things out, just in case there's something better on the other side. Tear the whole page out and do your fussy cutting at another time. If you're looking for images, it's easier to keep looking for the images rather than going back and forth cutting, looking, cutting, looking. Look for what you're looking for first and then start cutting, start fussy cutting or start organizing to find what you're looking for, what you want. Take your time. And when you're starting out, you haven't trained your eye to see. I didn't see this either. This couple looking at the stingrays and the sharks and the fish and stuff. That's a cool image. It's a very cool image. Take your time. Go through the magazine more than once. even if you take pages out, you're going to be distracted by, these elephants, and you're not going to notice the fish that's right next to them. You see this first. Go through again and take a look at some of the other things that you may have not looked at. Keep your list right where you can see it, so you can, go through this entire magazine looking for objects to fussy cut, or and then go through it again looking for glue book images, then go through it again looking for faces, for heads, for backgrounds, for words. You may go through the magazine quite a few times. And when you have your stack of things to be fussy cut out, do, you know, fussy cut your stuff out. Look at the backs. Look at the rest of it before you throw the rest of the page away. Is there anything else on that page that you might be able to use somewhere? This word says they have awoken a dragon. Well, that's a cute phrase. It's a very interesting little phrase. I could use that on a lot of different things. I'll have to save that with my words and stuff. And I probably wouldn't have noticed it because all I saw was this image. So not only take a look at magazines a couple of times, but look at what you're throwing away as well. You're going to find more than you realize. Here's I am enough. And I would have thrown that away. Many times after I've cut something out and I look on the back side, I find things that catch my eye that are interesting. So train your eye to see things. It's going to take time at first to train your eye to get going, but after a while, especially if you know what you're looking for, if you have something in mind, a project in mind that you're looking for stuff, look for that. Look at stuff in a different way. How can I use this head that's cut off a little bit? What could I do with that? Well, I could put another different head, with that to make a full head. You get going, go simple at first, and then you'll start expanding. You'll start seeing possibilities. You'll start seeing things for what they can be used for. Look at this eye. This eye would be a great head on a figure. Can you imagine that as a figure? The colors are perfect together, So start out slowly, look at everything, go through the magazine again, and really take a look at the little details of each page. Don't just skim over it real fast. Take a look and think, what could I use that for? What could I do with that? What could that turn into? It takes time to train your eyes to do that, but it can be done. All right, I hope this helps. Good luck in finding those images. Good luck. Thanks for watching.